Hello my friends and welcome to the Kitch-Em show. Today I'm going to show you how to make this adorable jack-o'-lantern bunting that I'm sure will add some charm to your home decor this Halloween season. What you'll need is some burlap of your choosing, some decorative jack-o'-lantern napkins, Mod Podge, and some yarn or string. Before you begin, you need to determine how many bunting pieces you'll need to make. My mantle is about 60 inches wide, so I estimated that I need about 80 inches of string so it will hang loosely. I decided upon 8 bunting pieces, leaving ample spacing in between each. To begin, you'll need to separate the layers of the napkins. Most napkins have 2 or 3 ply, and you only want the topmost layer so that the pumpkin will blend into the burlap seamlessly. Now I'm going to fussy cut these with a little more precision. So now I'm going to unroll this burlap and I'm going to use this pumpkin as kind of a guide on where to snip. I cut these almost to the same exact width of the pumpkin here, so I'm going to give myself a little bit of room. I want this to be straight, and this obviously is not cut straight here. I'm going to snip it about right here. Now comes the fun part, the Mod Podge. I recommend having some sort of like paper plate or newspaper or something to set these out on so they can dry, because they will stick to your surface, because the Mod Podge will leak through to the back side of the burlap here. So okay, I'm gonna line this up, smooth it out, hold it down by the sides, give it a smooth application going downward. Try to keep everything from getting too wrinkly. And it's important that you really work into these edges so that they blend into the burlap, they don't lift. Nothing would be worse than spending all this time to make these only to have the paper come off later. And I'm smoothing it around the edges too, working from the center outward. And because this piece here is pretty fragile, I'm going to flip this around, and I'm doing this last so that it doesn't shred. I'm also going to apply a little bit of Mod Podge kind of around the edges where even there isn't any tissue, just to kind of give it a little bit more of a seamless blend around so it doesn't look so obvious that there's something glued on. And you see how this kind of leaked through on the plate? But that's what it'll look like, and it'll dry. Oops, that lifted. See, I told you. Tap it in with your brush. There. Alright, so then I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest, and I'll be back. Okay, so these have dried overnight, and they are ready to be trimmed up and strung up and hung up. Hung up, strung up, blah, 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 blah. Here's one that I had already pre-cut. As you can see, that these are much wider than what I have here. Cutting it to about here would be good. And I'm using this as a grid to kind of help figure out where to cut so that it's straight. Alright, so I have this kind of off-white beigey toned yarn that I'm going to use to string this. I'm going to take a seam ripper, or you can use a crochet hook that's really small, whatever you have available. And since this already has pre-made holes, I'm going to find the most centered one, and I'm going to kind of pull this hole apart, make this hole just a little bit bigger. So I'm going to do it that way. I'm going to take the end of my yarn here, thread it through. And then I'm going to tie just a single knot here. And then on this end, I'm going to do a square knot and pull it through. And then I'm going to cut the end. Just like that. And now we have like a little loopy chain. So now all of them have loopies on the top, and you can just string them onto another piece of string. Just like this. What I did was I strung a string along the mantle, and I measured about the center and used that as kind of an anchor so that it would do 2 sides, so all the weight wasn't just pulling it down towards the fireplace. Some of them are kind of leaning to the side, but I kind of like how it looks like that. Yeah, I finished my mantle with some lights and obviously some leaves and greenery. This centerpiece here is like my favorite thing ever. This was the lantern I carried at my friend's wedding as a bridesmaid. She didn't do bouquets, she did lanterns instead. So there's an LED light candle inside, and then I have 2 LED lights there because my TV is right there. And I don't put real candles up here because I don't want it to ruin my TV. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Be sure to subscribe for more autumn goodness, and I'll see you in the next one. Mwah!